National identity is culture. How a people sees themselves. It's very interesting to be an American. There is a definite observable difference between the way Americans approach a second culture and the way a lot of other cultures do. We're an engineered society. We run on documents and principles. Every other nation in the world, every other nation that has a national identity has evolved that over a long period of time on culture, and culture is precisely reckoning with the limitations of what your climate and your neighbors will let you get away with. And Americans don't necessarily have that core within us. We tend to have this conviction that the American model, the American life experience, the American economic and social experience is something that is universally valid. There's a long phase of exploration that happens when you go into a culture that's not your own, and keeping a clear head while you're in that process and not deciding that you're going to dump all of them and, hook up with this opportunity prematurely is the biggest challenge. Learning about how the country works will tell you kind of how to read those signs. Most critically, I believe, is to know how trust is built and how respect is earned in the counterpart culture. There's one thing I am certain of, no matter what the issue is, if your counterpart respects you and trusts you, the chances of it resolving favorably are far greater than if they do not. And I think assuming that we have trust or assuming that we have respect gets us into a lot of uncomfortable, lost sleep, loss of jobs, and worse. How do we know when we have the right mindset? Well, if you ever catch yourself in a foreign country on a business trip and you say, why can't they just do it the right way? That's a signal that you're not quite there yet. The way to do it the right way is to appreciate that not everybody sees it the way we do. And if you're frustrated, there's a possibility that you need to take 3 giant steps back and ask yourself what's really going on with them culturally. Now, if you don't have time to do that, here's some really, really basic tips. If you don't have time to do it the right way, just always err on the side of formality and restraint. Don't wear loud clothes. Don't show up in sweatpants and sneakers. Don't tell, jokes. Don't be cheesy. Don't be overly familiar. Always start out with a mode of formality and restraint. Do not rush. Either the micro rush, which is we got to do a deal. Americans love to invoke urgency. We're very transaction oriented. You have to give people time to work through groups. Express yourself carefully. Slow down. Be careful. Give the people on the other side of the table a chance to understand what you're saying. Slow down. Don't ever make comparisons with your home country, and don't ever criticize. Well, back in America, my house is 3 times as big. If that were my wife, she would have bought the whole store. I mean, it's just, nothing good can come of that. It comes from a place of wanting to bond. It comes from a place of wanting to be closer to people, but the risk of being offensive or being seen as, frankly, stupid and childish is too high. So, leave the bonding to a little bit later in the dating process when you get to know what sort of things are interesting. And just listen. I think this is the classic American business approach to another nation that I really see all the time is, so here's a product, and here's how we're going to sell it, and here's who we're going to work with, and here's how it's going to work. And you think, have you been there? Have you gone there yet? The assumption that, we've looked at the data, and this is how it's worked in another market, so we're just going to take it and put it in there. And walking into meetings and saying, this is how we do it, are you signing on, yes or no? And they walk out of the room and unknowing that the people on the other side of the table had a fantastic opportunity that was sort of 45 degrees off the original thinking of the Americans, and if we would just sort of ask them a bit more, so what do you want? What are you doing with your business now? How's it going? Be patient. It's going to take people time to open up, but listen. Let the people in the other culture, it's their ball game, guys. It's their country. It's their market. It's the banking system they know. It's the legal system they know. It's the distribution system they know. It's the consumers they know. Ask them what they're doing. Listen. I really just think the bottom line, if you've got to put it all down into one sentence of what do I need to know as an American doing business outside America, is that almost every culture in the world is far more collective. It's far less possible to do things as an individual.